Hello, improvers. Hey, I want to talk to you about something today, but it's not the things we normally talk about. We normally discuss business, entrepreneurship, leadership, personal growth and development. And the topic I want to share with you today does deal with leadership and personal growth, but it's less on the business side in the professional setting and more on the home side in the personal setting. And look, I'm going to just give a little disclaimer right here at the beginning. None of us have the corner on the market when it comes to parenting advice, including me. I definitely am not the one to be telling everybody else how to raise their children. So that's not what this video is about, but it is going to deal with parenting. And it's about an observation, and it's about a topic that I think could be helpful for some of us out there, especially if you say, hey, I identify as an improver, because an improver mindset especially is prone to a certain temptation, a certain challenge or struggle. And I want to tell you about that today so you don't make the same mistake I've made time and time again. So what is the deal? What are we talking about here? And I tell you what it's got to do with. It has to do with the fact that as improvers, we can spot the gaps really well. We know what is and what could be or should be, and we know what needs to happen to make it better. We love to make things better, and we love to sometimes try to make people better too. So we look at others, and not only do we see the gap in a plan or in an idea or in a company, but we also sometimes see the gaps in other people. We see their failings and where they can improve on. And sometimes we take it upon ourselves to offer unsolicited advice and encouragement and constructive criticism that they may or may not want. And so it's one thing to do that in the business setting or in social circles. It's another thing to constantly do that with the way we raise our children, because you know what? Our children, they have so much value. Their intrinsic worth is so incredible. They're so innocent. Even on their worst days, parents, we are so thankful for the blessings that are our children. And so one of the problems is, though, sometimes we look at them and we're so used to correcting them. We're so used to showing them what they're doing wrong that becomes what we do all the time. And our kids do need correction. They do need direction, but they also need affirmation. They need celebration. And so part of this came up because this week we were journeying through a goal and vision planning exercise with a few folks. And as we got to a certain part on detailing out the goals, we had already listed out the goal and talked about it being time bound and talked about being specific and measurable. Then we went into the next steps. What do you need to do to accomplish that goal? And then we talked about the motivations, those internal motivations, that the real why behind the goal. Like, what is it that you're really wanting by accomplishing this? And the overwhelming majority of the time, the people I deal with, they've got very lofty goals that are very heartwarming, purposeful motivations and intentions behind it. And so usually they're just wanting to do better by their family, or they're wanting to take better care of their body, or whatever it is. That's their goal, and that's what motivates them. And so we discussed that, but then we distinguish between a motivation that's very internal, intrinsic, very noble, and a reward, which may be a little bit superficial and external, maybe a little bit more short-lived, but it's kind of exciting. And so we talked about how, if you're going to, let's say you want to run a 10K and average a 7-minute mile, okay, that's really cool. And you may be doing that for the health benefits to increase your endurance and focus and cardio, and maybe those are the motivations, but you should still have some way of celebrating if you actually accomplish that goal, whether it's going out and, eating or maybe wearing the medal and taking pictures and getting the shirt at the event, whatever it is, you need to have some way of celebrating your wins. So this is a little sub-point to my talk today, which is you need to celebrate your wins and make sure that you are giving thanksgiving and praise and excitement around your goals that are met. But there's also a bigger thing going on here than your own motivation and celebration after reaching a goal. And that's the fact that if you don't do this, you tend to be the type of person who doesn't celebrate the accomplishments of those around you. So whether that be leadership on a team or whether that be us as parents, sometimes we're really, really hard on our children because we are super hard on ourselves. And sometimes we don't celebrate and affirm and praise our children because we never take an honest view of the good things that we have going on. We look in the mirror and we see our faults, we see our failures, we see our blemishes, and we look at others and see theirs as well. Guys, we have to have a healthy self-image and self-esteem. We've got to be able to look at ourselves in the right light, partially because we need it for us, but partially because the people that are around us, they need us to not just see the negative things that require constructive criticisms, but they need us to see the positive things in there that can be affirmed and can be celebrated as well. So here's my challenge to you. If you're a parent out there and you're listening to this video, a lot of us, we push our kids really, really hard. And they play their hearts out on the field or on the court, or they do their dance recital, or they go whatever the task or talent is that they're trying to exhibit, and they try really hard. And what we like to do many times is say, hey, you know what, you did a good job on this right here, but if you would do this right here, this would be even better. I mean, it was great, but it would have been perfect if only. Guys, let me tell you, when you use things like if only and but and all that, you erase the positive thing you're saying, and that's the thing that's going to stick with the child is, well, they really didn't like the way that I ran this play, or when I did this on the court, this is the thing they didn't like. They're not going to remember the little positive piece. So sometimes let's save the improvement stuff for a different conversation, a different time, and let's take moments to celebrate our children. If you're leading a team, do this with your team members. There's always ways that we can grow and develop our skill set and our work. But you know what? Let's celebrate the good things that our team members do. And not only with their children and with their teams, but hey, look yourself in the mirror sometimes and say, hey, I really rocked that today. That thing was awesome. Or I really pulled that one off. Or hey, I worked hard and I'm going to go out and celebrate. I'm going to buy myself a new shirt, or I'm going to go, eat a nice dinner out. Or hey, this was a huge year-long deal. I'm going to go take a trip to celebrate. Pat yourself on the back and reward yourself. You may think that's selfish. And if you do that all the time and you become arrogant and egotistical, you're right, it is. But to do that whenever you accomplish something big and to take a moment to enjoy that and savor that, that helps you to become what an improver really is. An improver is a person who can be content and be so thankful for the good things without being complacent. They're still wanting to rise and challenge themselves to do even better, but they're going to enjoy the victory. They're going to enjoy the good moments. And so you learn to have that gratitude and thanksgiving all the while you're reaching for that next step, that next rung on the ladder. And so you can do both of those, but there's a danger of only being content and then it turning into complacency. So you never move, you never grow, you never accomplish more. That's really bad. But it's also bad if you're never complacent and you don't have contentment, because then you're always reaching and you're always going after that thing and nothing is good enough. And guess what? When nothing is good enough for you, the people that are around you, they're never good enough either. And that wears down on people. It is really hard. And I have made that mistake way too many times in the past with people that have been on my teams, that have been trying to support me and the vision that I have. And I've just levied criticism and criticism and criticism. Now, to be fair, I was just wanting them to do better and to reach their potential. But you just do it too much, you carry it too far. You got to balance that out with affirmation and celebration and praise. Now, I'm going to close out with this story that some of you are familiar with, but there is a story in the Bible where Jesus is approached by this crowd of people and they throw this woman down in front of him. And this woman has been caught in the very act of adultery, which was just scandalous. It's scandalous today, but it was definitely scandalous in that honor and shame culture in society. And so people are all around and they're asking Jesus, what are we going to do? And no one's really talking about the man, but yet there's this woman that was caught in this relationship, this adulterous affair, and she's there. And Jesus looks around at them and he says, he who has no sin, you can cast the first stone. So if you don't have any sin, then you can be the judge. And, to make the story shorter, they all drop their stones, they kind of walk away, and it's Jesus and this woman. And what he does, I think, is very incredible, because he's just shown her immense value and says, this is a real person. She matters, she's important, and you're not going to treat her like trash and stone her so you can go away. He protects her, loves and serves her. But then you know what he tells her? He says, go and don't do this anymore. Go and sin no more. He's telling her to stop that thing. He's saying, you know what? You are good. You are worthy. You have value. But you need to be better than this. You need to go on. And that's what we can do with our kids and with the people who follow us. Let's love them. Let's serve them. Let's let them know they matter. But then let's send them on their way and help them to be better and help them to be who they were meant to be. Hope this has been encouraging to you.